Franz de Waal has done a lot of research on animals. His most recent research is on whether animals have morals and whether they can show empathy. According to Franz, they have an image in political science, economics, the humanities, and the philosophy for that matter, that a man is a wolf to man. And so deep down, our nature is actually nasty. I think it's a very unfair image for the wolf. The wolf is, after all, a very cooperative animal, and that's why most of you have dogs at home, because they also have these characteristics. It's also a very unfair reality for humanity, because humanity is actually much more cooperative and empathetic than given credit for. These are the pillars for morality. If you ask anyone what is morality based on, these are the two factors that always come out. One is reciprocity, and associated with it is a sense of justice and a sense of fairness. And the other one is empathy and compassion. And the human morality is much more than this, but if you would take these two components out, there would not be much remaining, so they're absolutely essential. Now something on empathy. Empathy has two qualities. One is the understanding part of it. This is just a regular definition. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another, and the emotional part of it. Empathy has basically two channels. One is the body channel. If you talk with a sad person, you're going to end up having a sad expression and a sad posture, and then eventually you'll end up feeling sad. And this is the sort of body channel of emotional empathy, which many animals have. Your average dog has that also. That's why many people keep mammals in the home instead of snakes or turtles that can't show that empathy. And there's also a cognitive channel, which is more than you can take the perspective of somebody else. And that's more limited. Very few animals can do that. I think elephants and apes are like the only ones that can do it. So synchronization, which is part of that whole body empathy mechanism, is a very old one in the animal kingdom. In humans, of course, we can study that with yawn contagion. Humans yawn when others yawn, and it's related to empathy. It activates the same areas in the brain. Also, we know that people who yawn a lot are very empathetic, and people like autistic children have a hard time showing empathy, so they won't have that yawn contagion. So it is all connected. And we study that by having a chimpanzee watch a head that is yawning, and then have another chimpanzee watch that chimpanzee watching the animated head, and then pretty soon they'll both start yawning. So yawn contagion that you're all familiar with is something that we share with a lot of animals, and that's related to that whole body channel of synchronization that underlies empathy and that is universal in mammals, basically. We also study more complex expressions. This is consolation. There's a male chimpanzee who has just lost a fight, and a juvenile comes over and puts his arm around him and consoles him, and this is consolation. It's very similar to human consolation, and consolation behavior is empathy-driven. So if you want to see empathy in a young child, you can have a family member act distressed and see what that young child does. And it's related to empathy, and that's the kind of expression we look at. So as you can see, animals do have morals and can show empathy. It's amazing how close we are related to animals and how sometimes we take them for granted.